Hello and welcome again to another short video installment courtesy of Investing Success. Today is May the 31st, 2023. And in today's little video, I want to talk about the business model, if there is one, behind the concept of electric vehicle charging stations. So the key takeaway and the message that I want to share with you is not all charging stations are created equal. In fact, there is a turf war going on in North America right now to see who is going to ultimately dominate the concept of electric vehicle charging. So there's different revenue models that companies will use, and if you are on the internet looking at publicly traded companies that are involved in the charging station business, you will see some of them that physically own the charging station, and they have obtained permission from a city, from a town, from a business to actually put the charging station at a particular location. And when you, the customer, come along with your electric car, you plug in, you charge up. Now, because the company owns the charging station, they have to pay the utility provider for the electricity consumed, but they're going to then ding you with a substantial markup for every kilowatt hour that you put into your battery, and that's how they make their money. You're going to come across another business model whereby the company will actually build and make their own charging station, and they will sell it. So they will look for a hotel, a restaurant, a gas station, a city, or a town, and they will look to sell the station. They will install it, get it working, and then after that, there's no further revenue that accrues to the company. Both business models sometimes will offer warranty plans where they charge a monthly fee, and that will help to maintain the charging stations, make sure that they're available up to 97% of the time for motorists to use. Now, in your travels, you're going to see a variety of technical descriptors. So at the very bottom, you can get a charging device and have your local electrician install it in your garage. It's going to tie into your electrical panel in your house. It's either going to run off of 120 volt or 240 volt, and it's going to be a slow charge. So when you get home from work at night, you park your car in the garage, you plug it in, and it slowly charges over the ensuing 12, 14 hours. And then the next morning when you leave for work, your battery is topped up and you are good to go. When you get out into your city or your town or along the highway, you might run into level 2 charging units. These are slow chargers, and for every hour that you leave your vehicle plugged in, it will give you the electrical capacity to go an additional 25 to 40 miles down the road, and then you physically would have to, if you wanted to top up, pull into another charging station and charge it again. The ultimate in charging is what they call level 3 units, and these are fast chargers, and they will charge your car's battery up to the 80% capacity level in something like 30 minutes. Now, we live in a society where people are on the go, on the move. We don't have time to be sitting around for an hour. We want charge, and we want it now. So that's the importance of the level 3 units. Now, when the electric vehicle made its debut and governments started pounding the table on green energy and climate change and carbon emissions, there was quite a rush to start providing charging stations, but there was also quite a rush to start providing the plug-ins that go into different types of vehicles. So to start with, one of the initial designs was what they call the J1772 design, And it's designed to feed AC power, alternating current power, into your car. The circuitry on the car will convert the AC power into DC power, so that your battery can then take on the direct current charge. To compete with the J1772, the next design that quickly appeared was something called the CCS design. And it gives you the option then of either a slower charge where AC is converted into DC, or because it's got an extra set of pins, it will allow for DC fast charging, but only up to 350 kilowatts. And then along came a consortium of 5 Japanese electric vehicle makers, and they decided they're going to have their own design. It's called the CHAdeMO design, and it is a fast charging plug. And then to complicate matters immensely, Elon Musk took a look at all of this and he said, I want nothing to do with any of these standards, any of these designs. I'm going to make my own. And he's calling it the NACS plug design. It's the North American Charging System plug design. And it really is designed for Tesla vehicles. And this is why I say there is a turf war that's going on. I'm sure in the mind of Elon Musk, he wants to put all of these other designs completely out of business. He wants to dominate. But these other designs are not going down quite as fast as Mr. Musk would like. And so the turf war continues. So out in the real world, you might run into charging stations made by a company called ChargePoint, and they are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And ChargePoint is one of these companies that physically makes the charging station, sells it to a business, a city, or a town, and earns its revenue from the sale of the charging station. Now, when you pull up to a ChargePoint device, it's got the CCS plug design, and it also will probably have the CHAdeMO plug. So if you're driving a Japanese type electric vehicle or something else made in North America, you will be able to charge. Now, let's say you're driving a Tesla, and let's say you can't find a Tesla charging station. You have to use ChargePoint. You will need an adapter unit, and these adapters might cost you, a few $100s, but you can get them. The other one that you might see is a company called EVgo, and some of the EVgo stations will have a Tesla adapter, a Tesla plug-in. It's probably best, though, if you have to use EVgo stations on a fairly regular basis, it's probably good to have your own adapter. And if you are driving one of the Japanese type electric vehicles, again, you will need an adapter to accommodate the CHAdeMO type plug-in. And then, of course, you're going to see Tesla charging stations. They seem to be ubiquitous. I mean, at the beginning of all of it, Elon Musk was literally giving these things away. He was trying to saturate the market. And basically, they were used to promote the concept of Tesla vehicles. People were seeing these Tesla stations all over the place. And so the natural assumption on part of the consumer was, well, if there's Tesla charging stations everywhere, I guess I better buy a Tesla. So pretty bold move by Mr. Musk. And again, it's all part of this ongoing turf war right now to see who is ultimately going to dominate. This is a graph that I found in a presentation on the ChargePoint website. And if you look carefully at the histogram bars and the blue line, you'll notice that the blue line all of a sudden, starting like right around now, takes a pretty sharp rise, and it starts sloping up very aggressively. Really what they're telling you is, and what they're assuming is that we are going to be coming into a period of extremely high electric vehicle penetration. And so they are trying to, convince people buy our shares because the future looks extremely bright. There's going to be this huge adoption by the consumer towards electric vehicle. I have to question that. I don't know. Where I live in Western Canada, I'm in a rural area, and I think the nearest charging station that I could access is probably about 50 miles away. So, for me, I will never buy an electric vehicle living in the rural areas because where the hell do you charge it outside of your home in your garage at night? And if you happen to do any driving at all, you could quickly find yourself stranded. Um, Whereas if you're in a city, sure, you're going to have charging stations everywhere. So the ChargePoint is making some pretty bold assumptions here about growth and penetration, and I'm not sure I agree with them. And I don't know that the market agrees either. Here's a chart of their stock price. And, just in the past few days, it's had a little bit of an increase. They came out with some earnings statements. So they've obviously sold some new stations recently. But, the overall trend on this stock is down. Um, and it really is going to depend on new stations getting put in. And if I drive around some of the cities and towns here in Western Canada, I got to ask myself, how much more room is there for additional charging stations? I think we are getting a little saturated in the cities and towns. We haven't seen the penetration in the rural areas, and it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. I'm not going to buy an electric vehicle because I don't see charging stations around me out in the country. Charging companies are not going to install them because people aren't driving enough electric vehicles in the country. So something's got to give here if we're going to get further market penetration. Here's the stock chart of EVgo. Again, the trend is down. I mean, the thing is trading at $3.90. Um, Growth is going to depend on the installation of new stations and convincing customers to use those EVgo stations as opposed to a ChargePoint station or a Tesla station. So here's the turf war again. Which flavor do you plug your car into? Which brand are you going to adopt? And where are they relative to where you work, where you need them, and how to what degree of penetration has already gone on in your city? Um, are you just going to the nearest one down the street because it's there, it's convenient, or have you actually developed a brand loyalty? So, EVgo, according to their website, they're in 34 states in the United States. They have something like 900 stations, and they are focusing on the fast charge setup. ChargePoint, they've got apparently something like 25,000 stations, but here's the rub: only 320 are the fast charge design. And so, in a society that's on the go, on the move, we need to charge and we need to get it now. We don't have time to sit for an hour and twiddle our thumbs while our battery charges. Tesla, they've got grandiose plans over the next couple of years to have a total of 34,000 supercharger stations. And what's interesting about the Tesla model is it is described as plug and play. So if you're driving a Tesla, you pull up to the charging station, you plug it in, and immediately that station communicates with the software on your car. Your car is recognized. You do have some sort of an account that you've already set up. And so you're not busy swiping credit cards and typing in, secure PIN numbers to validate your card. Everything is recognized by the software, and you within 30 minutes or less, your battery is topped up and off you go. Tesla has got a big chunk of the market share, And recently, Elon Musk made a pretty ballsy move. He's now partnering with Ford, and he's basically saying, and Ford is basically saying, we are now going to have access to the Tesla charging network. And Ford, according to what I've read, they're going to send their EV customers an adapter. And so if you're driving down the road and you need to charge your battery, oh, there's a Tesla station right on the corner. Hey, I've got the adapter sitting on my front seat. Away you go. Now, this is probably going to do some harm to ChargePoint and EVgo. It could affect any further market penetration on their part. So the turf war continues. Now, recently, the White House, in uh, to stimulate the green energy movement, um, they announced something like $7.5 billion in subsidies for charging stations, and this is going to be apparently administered through the individual states. The individual states have got something called the NEVI program, and you are going to see on major highways uh, coming soon a charging station potentially every 50 miles. Now, there's going to be a bunch of requirements. These charging stations have to have consistent plug types. They have to have consistent power levels. They have to have a minimum number of charging outlets capable of supporting the fast charging needs. And it's going to be, the turf war again. Who's going to get this subsidy money? This is part of Tesla's dalliance with Ford. They're looking at this $7.5 billion, and they're thinking, how can we get a portion of that? Let's partner with Ford, and let's make it so that Ford electric trucks and cars can use our stations, and maybe this $7.5 billion, a chunk of it will come our way. So again, the turf war continues, and they're looking now at how do they get a piece of the pie. So the big question then is the electric charging station an investment or is it a trade? Um, the electric charging business, in my opinion, is disjointed, and it got off to a hasty start, and we've got several different plug designs out there. And I've also been reading that Elon Musk was very clever in the length of charging cables that exist at the Tesla charging stations. Apparently, if you drive something other than a Tesla, and even if you have the adapter, the charging cable may not be quite long enough to reach the outlet on your vehicle. So he really is. I gotta say, this guy, despite some of his faults with Twitter and what have you, this guy is light years ahead of every one of us. I mean, if I was designing these things, I don't know that I would have thought about structuring the length of my charging cable to literally screw over other car makers with their electric vehicles. Like, this guy is clever. Now, in order for electric vehicle charging to be an investment theme, look, we got to get more people driving these things. That is going to be a function of the cost. Um, it's going to be a function of availability. I mean, take a look on the highway now. Look at how many SUVs are out there. Um, People are not going to give up their gas-powered SUV to get a small electric car. They are going to want a pickup truck or an SUV that is electric. And, what's the cost? What's the cost? And then how far does it go on a full charge? And are there enough charging stations in the area where you live? So lots of questions on behalf of the consumer. And we're already seeing a lot of chatter about driving distances. So you're going to see batteries becoming slightly bigger, adding more cells into the battery configuration to give you more miles on a full charge. So lots of moving parts. I say at this point, the EV charging stocks are not an investment. They are a trade. And so to give you an example, here is the first trade chart for EVgo. It started publicly trading 2nd of July 2021. And you'll notice that in the center part of the horoscope, there is a triangle, and the apex of one of the apexes is at Mars. There's another one at Saturn, and another one at Uranus. The midheaven is up here at 21 of Taurus, and the ascendant is over here at 27 of Leo. So again, the question that I ask is, during a 29-day lunar cycle, what happens when the moon passes by the corner points of the triangle and the midheaven and the ascendant? Does that give us some sort of a move in the stock? Does that give us an opportunity for a trade? Well, here's their stock chart. And to keep this argument simple, I've just labeled point 1 and point 2. So point 1 was some sort of a swing high where there was quite a rally and then it gave it all back. What was happening at point number 1? The moon was passing your natal Mars point, and it gave you a complete inflection. And so if you are trading these things, you're going to have to be very, very diligent in using stop loss orders so that it doesn't double back and roll over on top of you. Point number 2, the sun was slowly working its way past the natal midheaven point, and the moon was actually getting near one of those apex points on that triangle. Now the price did rally, but again, you didn't actually get a convincing buy signal on any of the chart technical indicators. And here's the ones that I look at. There's the true strength index, there's the fast stochastic, and the ergodic index. So at point number 2, even though we had the astrology event, I wasn't seeing much in the way of a convincing technical buy signal. And look what happened. It rolled right back over on itself, and it literally fell out of bed not that long ago. And here we are, $3.90. And EVgo is, they've got a network of these fast charging stations. They are touted as one of the better ones out there. The market is not convinced, not at all. So if you are going to trade, you've got to look for the astrology event, but that has got to come hand in glove with a technical indication on the true strength index, the fast stochastic, or some other oscillator type indicator. And if you're not seeing that, stay away. All right, that's it for me. So electric charging, it is a trade. It's not an investment just yet. There is a turf war going on. Elon Musk, by the look of it, is determined. He's going to win the turf war. We will see. I would not put it past him. He's aggressive, and in his thought processes, he is light years ahead of everybody else out there. So just a quick follow-up here. Financial Astrology Almanac. Yeah, you know all about that. It's available. We're halfway through 2023. I'm almost getting ready to start working on the 2024 one. Follow the trend. That introduces you to a lot of these technical chart indicators, Fibonacci mathematics, and those things dovetail very nicely then with the astrology. I've got a new course on udemy.com called As Above, So Below, and it gets into the Fibonacci mathematics and the astrology and the Fibonacci sequence. And of course, I've got my various letters and reports that I publish for subscribers. And so that's it for me. Do your due diligence when it comes to electric charging. It is a trade. It's not an investment just yet, and may never will be. Who knows? But just take care out there and don't get trapped, because these markets are a little sketchy right now, and interest rates might get jacked up just a tad more to kill inflation, as it were. So be very, very careful. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and we will talk very soon.